Oi, pessoal da Hedflow, aqui é a Vani novamente. Estou aqui em Pittsburgo, na Pensilvânia. Estou com meu amigo Koller. Pra quem não conhece ele é o vocalista do Sick of It All. You guys just released, it was 2018, a new album. And then I was reflecting about this because when I started listening to you guys, I was like, I don't know, I was really young, probably.
Me too.
Probably too. Everybody was young. And the first song I listened, it was like on MTV Brazil, you guys played, it was like Step Down. The first time I listened to you guys and I saw the video, it was like, and I thought you guys were just like a funny band, like no effects because of the video, because I never listened to you guys before. And then I started like seeing the name like Sick of It All everywhere, like Sick of It All. I was like, I should check this band. A few years later, I started listening to you guys and I have a song that made me like, I already have like trying to understand politicians and all this stuff, but you guys were like the main band to make me understand how is our society, because I never step out of my city by that time, because I'm from Osasco, like a small city in Brazil, in São Paulo, and I was like, I thought just here was like this bad, because like there's a song called Just Look Around. That song was like, he's from the United States and he's singing stuff that happened here, and then I started like digging in the lyrics and have more and more like talk about society, how people sold out, or just like we're angry. You guys are still playing for what, 30 years?
Like 33 years.
Have something changed? Have you noticed something change from that time to now?
You mean like as in political change? It's always in flux, and it's always, I can only speak for what I see in the United States. And as I grow older, the more cynical I get. I think that no matter who's in office, they're there just to keep, and it sounds really cheesy, but they are there to keep us down. They have to keep us all at a certain level. Why do you think the United States doesn't have free education? Because smart people aren't going to sit there and work for these shitty jobs, you know? They're going to figure out other ways to make living. That's what I see. What has changed is people. Like, that's what we always say. Like when we talk with other bands and other people, we're always like we help out another band, like even just doing posts for like, oh, Madball's got a new release put out. They're like, man, that's so great. We go, who else is going to do it? There's the industry, they're all out to make money for themselves. They're not out to make you money. They're not out to promote you. You know, we all have to watch out for each other. And that's what I see as people, you know, not just in music industry, but if you actually sit down with other people, like you can see stories all over the place in the Middle East of, you know, Jewish and Muslim people hanging out in the same town, living together, because they're there every day, face to face. It's not a concept of like, you know, them living on the other side of the world. And it's like when they get face to face, everybody's cool with each other. Yeah, because in the lyrics says like black hating the Jews, white hating black. I noticed a little change, like it's really little, at least in Brazil, because like the scenario that we have in here with Trump is the same thing that's happening in Brazil. I don't know if you'll keep up with the news because there's so many things going on around the world, but like they say like the Latino Trump, because he's trying to do the same stuff that Trump's doing or keeping up. For example, he wants to end free education too. Is one of the little things we have in Brazil for people that needs to get the knowledge. Exactly. But I can't remember her name, but that blonde lady, he put her in charge of education, and I wish I could remember her name because she makes me so mad. But she's never gone to a public school. She advocates for privatizing schools. It's just they're all out to make themselves and each other more money. Which I know, again, it sounds cheesy and it's very cliche, but it's true. That's the reason. And the way they get out of it is they're like, oh, that's so cliche. Oh, it's so conspiracy theory. But it's true. No, because it's so hard to believe that people say that is a conspiracy. But it's the thing you say, like, if people get smart, they don't want to accept what the government is giving to us. I feel they make us to feel like grateful for the tiny things they do for us, and be like, be grateful to work your life out for a company to make them rich. And the way they do that is the way they make you they keep people from voting for free college or getting, you know, it's like, oh, it's going to come out of your taxes. They're going to take your money that you worked for, they're going to give it to some some kid, you know, and usually they don't say who, but they'll bring it in, they'll allude to a certain race, and that'll trigger, bang, you know, the old scared white people feel we're losing our power. This used to be this, you know, it's everything changes, everything grows. You know, that's how they do it. And they get you by saying they're going to take money out of your pocket and give it to these people who aren't working, who aren't doing it, which is a load of shit.
Yeah, because they don't think like it's gonna be free for everyone. If you want to put your kids in school too, your kids can go to school for free, like a college for free. It's not just for the poor people. Your kid could have the opportunity, because in Brazil we have free good colleges in there, but most of the kids that go to school there, like college in there, they're rich, because they have time to study. And they are the ones that do the same thing. Oh, it's coming out of my taxes, like to sponsor these poor people and blah, blah, blah. And they feel like, well, my kids are going to this public school too, but I don't want them, the other poor people, to go, because it feels like the more knowledge the poor people has, the more they will be done with that, because I'm not grateful for not getting anything. I'm giving too much and not getting anything back. And like, it's so similar to things in here. And then people's like, no, the United States is way ahead of us because third world and blah, blah, blah. But yeah, I was just like, I'm listening to you guys for so long. I mean, not that long because I'm a baby still, but it's so spot on. It's so spot on how you guys translate your scenario here. And I can like relate with that in there.
Try to do, you know, that's what music has done for us. Like once we got deeper into hardcore and punk, like at first it was the English bands, you know, like Discharge and GBH and, you know, stuff like that, and their political edge. And then we got into the local bands, like back then it was Agnostic Front and Murphy's Law, but there was Reagan Youth, and they were very political. So, you know, it's always been part of us. And, you know, I'm not a political scientist. I'm sure if you had somebody who is very intelligent from like leaning to the right, they could shoot down a lot of my arguments, you know. I would just have to sit there and actually study, and so I could counter it, you know.
Yeah, because I mean, I always say like the important things today to be updated. It's politicians.
Yeah.
And I think like the psychological part too, you need to understand something to understand yourself, to not accept some things, and then understand why you feel some way, and respect people around you, to put yourself and have empathy. And
that's what's missing is empathy. And it's funny to me is as we're the older generation, I'm comparing to you and your friends, you know, so many people that I went to CBGBs with that sang these songs with me, that we were in, you know, seeing bands like Reagan Youth, seeing all these bands, and they're so right wing now. And they're still friends with me. And I always like, I look at them like, why? How? And the basic answer, I mean, they have all these other layers, but the basic answer is, I'm not giving my hard-earned money away to these people who don't work for a living and blah, blah, blah. And, you know.
Yeah, this is why I say the psychological part, to understand, because when you put yourself on other people's shoes, you're going to have empathy and be like, well, I have this extra, why don't give away to who need it? Because like, for example, rich people have so much. If we put all the rich people in the world to donate half of what they have, which it would be a lot, they could save a lot of problems in the world.
Even, you know, they don't want to tax their rich friends, or they want to give tax breaks over it, that's fine. You know what you do? Tax every church, every mosque, every synagogue. Tax them the same they tax us, and you will solve a lot of problems.
Oh yes, in Brazil will be rich right now, because they get the psychological part. I'm gonna give you salvation, but I need some money back. It would have so much. There's a gold church they build in there.
Exactly. Like, what? You're for the church. It's supposed to help the poor. Start peeling off that gold leaf off of all your statues and stuff, and sell that.
Exactly. Could it, I don't know, pay off your car or a house? Yeah, it's all money from these people that like they're putting out there. I don't understand, like these poor people that doesn't have anything is still giving what they have, and it's people taking.
And yeah, they say, oh, if you send, you know, $7.99 we'll pray for you, but if you put $20 in, you'll get the super head of the line prayer. And it's like, these poor, that's what they do. They pray on these poor, uneducated people. You know, and religion's just whether you believe in God or not, you know, it's used as a tool to keep people down, keep people in check.
Yeah, and is this a psychological part, the politics, technology too is other thing too, and probably you see a lot of change in during these years too with technology.
Oh, God, yeah, with the internet's a double-edged sword. It's so good, but it's so evil at the same time. you know, especially with the surveillance thing that they're saying, you know. I have friends that are paranoid and they put tape over their phone cameras.
I do the same with my computers. Do you watch a series called Black Mirror?
Yes, I've seen it.
I work with technology.
But that's the thing. People think like, oh, it's just sci-fi. A lot of stuff, advances in technology came from ideas from science fiction, you know, and now they have, look at going to date myself as a kid growing up in the 70s, the comic Dick Tracy in the Sunday newspaper, he had a television watch. What's around now? Television watches.
Exactly. No, so I have a sunglass that records.
Yes.
I have
glasses you can walk around and record people with.
Exactly, but
I don't even know.
I'm doing this right now, and that too. But this is in purpose. I'm just kidding. This is not the one. Maybe. Nobody knows. I'm a spy. But yeah, and I understand because the technology is something that I love and I work with and I'm always like reading about, but I'm always worried too because I know there's all this sci-fi shit that people say. It is real. Yeah. We collect so many data. Like I work with data. I mess with data. We can collect everything. Like people can just steal your voice and start a band. Yeah, I could steal your voice with this video right now and then just like create a new band.
Say things, yeah.
Yeah, I could make it like a video with a fake face of you and it's like turn you like in a...
Doing that with that, what's his name? Ronnie James Dio. He's dead for how many years now? And they have a tour, The Return of Dio, and it's his last touring band with a hologram of him. Why the fuck would you go see that?
I know.
That's not Ronnie James Dio. And it's like, go home and listen to records. Save your money. And I think I know the money's going to his wife and all that, but I think that's an insult to him. Why would you do that?
I don't know. It's weird because we are just making stuff that we don't need to be automatically for us. Like we were becoming lazy during the years.
Oh yeah.
Like even for shows, have you noticed like is there something different? Like I used to play here all the time, and now there's no one in here.
Well, I mean, it's always been where things have changed, but it's getting it's so much funnier. Even the guy last night, this guy Mike who runs the club Smalls in Detroit, he said, yeah, it was 350 people here. He goes, how much you want? This is going to be one of those shows where 1,000 people are going to be online going, yeah, I was at that show. It was awesome. You know, it's like, why don't you really go to the show?
Well, I noticed that too, and like it's another thing too with the music streaming too. That like it affect you guys. How I don't even know how Spotify works.
For us, it affected us because we weren't a huge album selling band. We did sell records, which was good. We were kept on a major label because they called us a sub-gold band. We didn't sell gold records, but we sold enough that we were not a liability to them. You know, they weren't losing money on us. When the whole it killed it. But it's the major labels, they all did it to themselves because when Napster started, the people from Napster approached them and said, hey, we have this new file sharing thing. You know, we should do this. We should work together. And nope, they were like, shot it down and shut the doors. They were much like what's going on in the White House. It's like, let's go back to the old ways. And coal is not the answer. Who the hell? But, the music industry, now it was laid out to me like this. Say you have a favorite supermarket. You go there all the time and the people who run it are nice, mom and pop, and you love them. And then they open another supermarket exactly the same, but everything's free. You don't have a mom and pop there, but you can go in and get it for free. So you're still loyal to mom and pop, but every once in a while you're going to go to get, say like, yeah, I always buy my stuff that I love here, but there's this new stuff I want to try, but I don't know if I'm going to like it. I'm going to go to that free store and try it. And that's what happens. And then you get used to that. And then you're on Spotify like me.
But I confess I do this sometimes. Like I listen first and Spotify is like, damn, this is really good. I want to have this physical because I want to have it for me and because I want to support the band too because you guys work with it.
You've grown up where you've had physical copies. There are kids, people that I know who never owned a CD, owned an album, and then when you buy it, I'm like, what are you buying that for? You don't
need books. You don't need that. You have like
the cars. They don't put CD players in anymore. Any car after 2017, there's no CD players in them.
No, mine still have because my car is old as fuck. I have a lot of CDs there.
Yeah.
I like to keep the spirit of the thing. For example, now I'm trying to do like a collection of vinyls because I want to have that. I think about like maybe in the future if I have a kid because I bet you have a collection of like records. Like t-shirts and this because you always like touring, probably people give you like, oh, listen to my band. So like I think about like maybe in the future if I want to have kids, I don't know, I want to them to have that. If they, what they're gonna do with that, I don't know. They're gonna burn. Like my mom was crazy when she was young, but it's like it's something like it's a treasure. That was like, and also like if you really like a band, you kind of have to support them.
I find it weird. It's like I always go out whenever, especially friends of mine put out I go out and I buy a physical copy as well as download it from iTunes. You know, I just don't like certain band members who play the bass. Just, you know, go listen to it online.
Go to YouTube.
Kill me for that because
for example, I don't know, MySpace did that thing too at some point, and there's a lot of people that like just put the music there, like steal from someone, or just like I bought the CD, but I want to share with people.
Yeah.
They would just like put in a zip file, and then people would just download that too. I see a lot of people that brags about how hardcore they are, but I never see them buying a CD or just the T-shirt or whatever, just to be like, I look tough in this and that, but like I'm real hardcore. And then you go like, what do you like? Actually, you just go to your show just to mosh, which I don't care about that. You do whatever you want. You're paying for that. But like, you just go there to like mosh, and you don't even know the band and anything.
It's been like that. Some people have done that for years. You know, with any scene, when it gets bigger, you're going to get people on the fringe who come and they're attracted to a certain thing. And New York hardcore became, when they saw pictures of Agnostic Front and the Cro-Mags, it was like, holy shit, look at this cool, tough scene. And they thought, we're all tough. And then they saw the videos of people dancing, and they were just like, we have to be violent. And it kind of, as the scene it pushed out people that when I first started going, that I met, that I loved. I would go to a Sunday matinee, and there would be like this hippie punk people, and there would be goth girl. There were goth girls out in the sunlight at a CB's matinee. But as it got more and more, everybody wanting to look like the Cro-Mags and AF, it just pushed everybody out. You know, the diversity got lost. Everybody got a look, you know, camo.
Well, but I was raised in a hardcore scene, so like I see that, but I totally understand.
I'm not saying but that's any scene. Any scene, as it gets bigger, it kind of gets diluted. But that's why we always try to keep it alive. You know, keep the original idea of being open-minded alive, and it has to a certain extent. And people have come around like full circle, I'd say. You know, bands that were set a certain way, now they're all more way open-minded. You know,
for example, when I started going to shows, I used to go to like metal shows because I didn't know a lot about hardcore and didn't know the bands, like local bands in Brazil. So I used to go to like metal shows, emo shows, and like you could see everyone was different. Everyone has like their identity, which I think is cool because like I don't want to look exactly like other people too, but it kind of like you kind of end up looking like.
It's funny. It's like I always thought that was just hardcore, but it's the same thing. Like friends who are deep in the metal scene, it's the same exact thing. You know, people who are into the, I don't know what they call it now. We should just call it raves. What do they call it now? EDM or something like that.
Yeah, something like that.
Whatever. They change the names. The same shitty music. Same thing. It's like a tribal thing. It's like they all look the same, but they travel the world to these festivals, and they're friends. And you know, like I have a friend who DJ and can go to Ibiza and DJ, and then I have friends who a professional masseuse, and they travel the world in the massage community, not the shady one, like the legitimate massage. They stayed in. I have a friend who's a yoga instructor, and he got to do a residency in Australia for a month because the people there they do the same type of yoga. They became friends on the internet, and they loved him. And they were like, "Hey, here's the keys to our apartment. We're going somewhere else to teach yoga. You take over our classes for a month." And he lived in Australia for a month. That's the beauty of all this stuff, I mean, and that's what we got out of hardcore, was doing that, traveling the world and meeting people all over, and it's great.
Yeah, and have people like criticize, because like for me, I think it's amazing when I've been like plays for so long and still keeping up with that and try to keep the identity too, because there's a lot of bands that change during the years, like, oh, it was more hardcore, now more melodic and more, but you guys like
mellow people, people get different ideas. I think we're just bitter all the time.
Yes, no, but with a reason.
That we know why, It's all the stuff we talked about in the beginning of the video. Bands that were so big in the late 80s, early 90s, and then they split up because, well, I'm going to go to college. And that's cool. That's what you want to do. I never wanted to go sit in class to learn philosophy or whatever. I'd rather go out and live and meet people, And now those bands are back making more money than us doing shitty reunion tours.
There's so many I can't even count. Having someone just like probably you heard like people criticizing you guys, like, yeah, you guys are too old for this. You get this the money, like a lot or not.
I called my brother Pete. Said, "Oh, we're 12. Spend a week on the road with us, and we'll see who's old." Put your band on stage after us any night, and we'll see who's old.
But it's hard. It's still like you guys be far from your family for a long time, and then like don't even sleep and don't even see anything. You just like go play.
That's the problem, yeah. But you know, you make your time. You do what you do. Like, we all do different things. I still love to get up and go walk around the city. I'll look. Now it's even easier with these computers in your pocket. I just pop in like, what city I'm in, what's interesting here, or look like what weird shit is this city known for, you know, and we'll find amazing stuff. You know, I still do that. Pete gets up and goes to the gym every morning. You know, any country we're in. You know, Armand goes and finds different beer halls to check out. Craig likes to sit on the internet all day. No, he goes out too sometimes, but you know, it's you guys have to make yourself. But there are times when we get to a city and we won't leave the backstage, and the people be like, "Wow, you played in Hungary?" Yeah, I saw the backstage. I didn't see this. I didn't see that. I didn't see whatever you're telling me to look at. You know, I played Rio, and I only saw the giant Jesus statue from. I went to the base of it. I didn't get to go up because we didn't have time. We had to get back for sound check. So, oh, there it is. Let's go. Take a picture. Run away. And your family thinks, wow, he's living the life. Look, he's in Rio at the Jesus statue. And you're like, yeah, I was there for 5 minutes, Dad. And I got back in the cab and went right back to the club.
But it's you're not too old to do that, because if you were older, you wouldn't even leave your bed. You'd be like, no, I'm dying. I'm going to stay here.
We all say it. It's what keeps us young. You know, it's like definitely, we always like joke around. You know the story, the picture of Dorian Gray? It's kind of like a gothic story about this guy who's forever young, but he has a portrait of himself. And if he ever looks at the portrait, he grows old. And at one time, he sees himself in the portrait and he decays. We always say, yeah, the minute we say, this is the final show, good night, when we walk off stage, we're going to turn to dust.
Like a vampire. But you're only as old as you feel, right?
Yeah.
Então a gente vai ficar por aqui, o papo foi agradável, mas a gente tem um show pra ver daqui a pouco. E different person. No, it was two person told me that I sound like Polish.
Oh yeah, it's kind of.
I wanted to suck your blood. Now, this is Portuguese, okay? It's not Spanish, it's not Russian, it's Portuguese. E vocês têm que entender o que eu tô falando, ok? Então tá, gente. Beijo, até a próxima.
You like the 90s Misfits? You're an asshole.
You haters.